Good afternoon. Now calling to order the Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee meeting for Wednesday, March 18th. It is 3:32 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Here. Vice Chair Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderman Devoti. Alderwoman Cox Entwee. Chair Browning.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Devoti. We have 4 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, we will move to the next item on our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, March 4th, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Boyd. Chair Clark, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Vice Chair Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderman Devoti. Alderwoman Cox Entwee.
Aye.
Chair Browning.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Devoti. We have 4 aye votes.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is board bills for review. We will skip down to item number 2, which is board bill number 175, introduced by Alderman Rasheen Aldridge. Alderman Aldridge, you are recognized on board bill 175.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Public Infrastructure Utilities Committee. Board Bill 175 today was the board bill that the Board of Aldermen suspended last week to introduce a little bit of emergency. It would create an easement and an agreement between the city and Ameren so that Ameren can start to do some underground work for electricity for the PSAP Center, which is located in the 14th, which will merge our police department and other departments in public safety, merge our 911 call center. Again, this is just an agreement between the city and Ameren so that work can start to lay those lines for Ameren can start to put them in at the PSAP Center. That I'll open up for any questions, and I believe in the drive, people should have received a letter of support from BPS in support of this legislation.
Thank you. We'll see if we have anyone from the public on this.
No one has signed the sheet.
Okay, with that, we'll see if we'll go through the committee, see if anyone has any questions, starting with Alderwoman Boyd, if she's joined us. Not seeing Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
No questions. Thank you for getting this done.
Alderwoman Cox Entwee.
No questions. Thank you.
I also do not have any questions. Glad we could get this in and get this done. With that, Alderman, you are recognized to close.
Thank you, Chairman Browning, and again, all members here and the members of the Board of Aldermen who kind of fast-track this so we can get it done before we go down. And with that, I'll ask for a do pass recommendation on Board Bill 175.
With that, I'll accept a motion for a do pass recommendation, Board Bill 175.
So moved.
Moved by the Alderman from the 8th, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Boyd.
The TV's
Alderwoman.
on. She can't hear you. The TV's on mute in the top right corner.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Alderwoman Boyd, are you able to hear us?
The TV's on mute.
No.
Top right.
Has the public been able to hear it so far? At this time, we're going to go ahead and move into a brief recess while we figure out some technical difficulties. So with that, we will recess. Thank you. We're resuming the meeting, calling us back into order. Alderman, if you wouldn't mind closing again and just explain what the bill is, so catch back up after that brief recess.
Yes, I'm going to take a playbook out of the Alderwoman from the first she did previously on the Public Infrastructure Committee. So Board Bill 175, again, it is an easement agreement between the city and BPS, or the city and Ameren, to be able to lay the power lines at the PSAP Center. The PSAP Center is the location off of Jefferson and the 14th that will merge our EMS, police, and fire all in one department. This just gives the approval from the city to work with Ameren to be able to start that work. And with that, I'll take I'll ask for a due pass on Board Bill 170.
Thank you. With that, I'll just again ask Alderman Boyd, any questions?
No, sir, I have no questions. Thank you.
Any other questions in the committee? Seeing none.
Alderman Brown, there is one person with their hand up online.
Okay, we'll go back and do public testimony since this has been a little odd. You can go ahead and call them.
I'm transferring them over now. Okay, I'm having a little trouble getting the second one. If you want to go ahead with Josh, I can continue to try to get the other person over.
Josh, are you here for Board Bill 175 or something else?
I am here regarding resolutions 266.
Okay.
And Senate Bill 15.
We will get to that in a second. We're on Board Bill 175 at the moment, but we'll be hearing that in just a little bit. So thank you for being here to testify on that.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have anyone on Board Bill 175?
No, but they all had their hand up, so I'm not sure. If anyone would like to speak on Board Bill 175, please raise your hand. No more hands came up, so I assume not.
Okay. With that, Alderman, you've already closed. If you have nothing else to say, we'll go ahead and vote on this.
Yes, I'll take a motion for a due pass recommendation on Board Bill 170.
So moved.
Moved by the Alderwoman from the 8th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 10th. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Vice Chair Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderman Devoti. Alderwoman Cox-Santwi. Chair Browning.
Aye.
Alderman Devoti. We have 5 aye votes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alderman.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to item number 1, which is Alderwoman Boyd's. This is Board Bill number 149. Alderwoman Boyd, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee, for hearing Board Bill 149. This board bill is an honor for me because you don't get a lot of people that do what they say. And so Pastor Alfred Gainey Jr., when he came to our ward about 7 years ago, I had challenged him because he had said that God had told him to come over there to help rebuild our community. And I kind of teased him and said, well, I guess he told the other 202 pastors the same thing because that's how many churches we have in our community. And so he committed that he would make a difference in our community and ensure that the people were served. And how he did that, he started off with the Grill to Glory, but people don't know he went past that. And so 52 weeks out of a year, he does a pantry and he does it, it's like you go on the Schnook. So he has from dairy products to fresh vegetables to meat to bread, and he serves our community continuously. He has expanded, so he had to buy freezers to hold the food that he was getting. He goes all the way down to the boot hill to pick up loads of food, fresh vegetables and stuff for the people in our community, and it's no charge. And he took the Grill to Glory to a whole nother level. He doesn't just give out hot dogs, he does chili dogs, he does sodas, he does chips. So his heart is continually being given out in our community, and he has compassion for what he does. So I asked the committee to please accept this honorary street name for Pastor Alfred Gainey Jr.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone here to testify on this board bill?
We have none.
Okay, with that, do any members of the committee have any questions? We'll go through committee. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you, Alderwoman Boyd, for bringing this forward. I want to echo and uplift the comments that Alderwoman Boyd made as the alderperson for Reverend Gainey, his beloved wife, who's also a Reverend Sue Gainey. The example that they set in their community, in their neighborhood in the 10th Ward, is actually aligns with what Alderwoman Boyd said they do at the church right there off of West Florissant and Riverview. And I'll just speak to the fact that the reason, the intent and the intentional ways that they give back were already in place prior to COVID, but they escalated even more during COVID as well for a lot of residents and neighbors here across the city of St. Louis. If you know Pastor, Reverend Dr. now, Kim Gaines, that comes and prays for government regularly through the National Day of Prayer and other organizations that she works with. This is all one family that continues to serve St. Louis in the unique way that they do. So when Alderwoman Boyd said he does what he says, I can attest to that. And so again, thank you, Alderwoman Boyd, for bringing this much well-deserved honorary street naming. And with that, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor to Board Bill 149.
So noted.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
I do not have any questions. I always appreciate when we have these sorts of board bills in front of us because we get to learn about someone that's so important to the community that they come from. So thank you for the testimony and for doing this recognition.
Alderwoman Cox-Antwi.
Thank you, Alderwoman Boyd, for bringing this before us today. I think Alderwoman Clark Hubbard said it very well. I, too, am familiar with the Grill to Glory program, and I think the example and the modeling of leadership and service is really shown by how much that program has grown and expanded through the city of St. Louis over the years. So I, too, would like to be added as a co-sponsor, and I appreciate you doing it.
So noted.
Thank you. Alderwoman Boyd, I echo what my colleagues have said. It's always great to hear about somebody who does what they say they're going to do and does it well in service of their community. I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor. And
So
with that,
noted.
you're recognized to close.
Thank you all so much, and thank all those that asked to be co-sponsors. I just want to tell a quick story. When he started, he had a little red pickup truck, and he expanded, so he had to buy a van And he even had to rent a box car because people were calling him, donating food to him to make sure that he could feed our community. So again, I ask for favorable consideration and thank you so much for the support.
Thank you. With that, I'll take a do pass recommendation for Board Bill 149.
Second.
Moved,
Previous roll.
moved by the Alderman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 8th, and a call for previous roll from the first. Hearing no objection. Congratulations, Alderman. This board bill has passed out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
Thank you so much.
That is the end of our board bills for discussion today. We will move on to our next agenda item, which is resolutions for review. At this time, we'll take up discussion item number 1, which is resolution number 197. Alderwoman Sonnier, you are recognized.
Okay, good afternoon, evening, good afternoon, members of the committee. I'm actually really excited to talk about this today. The Quick Build Safety Infrastructure, some of you all were at the town hall that we had on the Gravois Corridor Town Hall. I know all of us have been engaging in conversations with MoDOT in many ways, and I know many of us have regular conversations about just honestly the unacceptable condition of our streets, how unsafe it can be to walk a street, to cross a street, to bike a street, to drive a street. I know these are things we deal with in various ways. And so the resolution that I have in front of you all today, I actually would take just very minimal credit. There is an organization who is with me today and who is speaking, and one of them will be my guest speakers. But they really kind of were already coming to different alders on the board. They were speaking MoDOT, they were speaking to kind of everybody, kind of a decision maker in over these sorts of things. And by the time I got to it, they had kind of already had these conversations. And I just took a look at the things that they were naming and asking for and mentioning. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that all of this is doable, but I absolutely think that some of this is doable. And at first, I actually was kind of very hesitant. And there was a resident who was like, you know, people are dying now. So are you saying that we have to wait until 2029 to do anything when people are dying now? And I just instantly felt like guilty of saying like no to anything at all right now. I was like, okay, let me sit with this. Let me just read through this and see if there's anything that we can do from this. And that has kind of brought us to today. So solutions, which the goal is absolutely to address these things now and to move proactively before 2029. Why would Quick Build be needed? One of the things that really jarred me was the 10.34 crashes per mile, which is the highest in both St. Louis City and county. And there's a lot of data and information and statistics out there. I know this list lists 69 crashes involving pedestrians, cyclists, and 8 fatalities. I would really highlight someone who actually came to the town hall, a grandmother of someone, of a 15-year-old who was trying to cross the street to go to Taco Bell and got hit and is, you know, a fatality we're talking about. So I think when we're having a conversation about why this is needed or why it's necessary, there really are lives on the line, and there are people in our city who literally just get killed crossing the street. And this is one of the most dangerous thoroughfares that we have in our city and in our county. And so when you're talking about actions that can be taken, prioritizing these sort of quick build safety infrastructures at specific high-risk intersections, using low-cost tools like flex post mediums or water fill barriers or center line hardening. There's a lot of kind of cool, interesting things that you could do that, quite frankly, are modeled much better across this country than we do in the city, and I hope we can change that. And this resolution kind of picks these specific touch points on Gravois that are some of those high-risk intersections to try out with these quick build implementation. Just a little bit of a visual, a little bit of a graphic for us on kind of what quick builds can look like in real time and where they can go, and just kind of the impact that they can have. And so being able to enable kind of wider turns and to mitigate dangerous speed, and to kind of reduce visibility. These are things that these sort of quick builds can help with, and these are just a few of the different ways that they can go into place. But again, I would say, like, it would be very cool. I would definitely encourage all of us to look at the ways that these are being used all across. These are just some ways they could be implemented. I think I could have put maybe 10 different pictures or graphics up here of different things and different places you could put them. So more examples of kind of what quick build infrastructure can look like in real time. I won't kind of exaggerate or go too much into depth, but again, the delineator for hard and center lines. We have these in several places across our city, and we all know how many times cars still attempt to run over them or just don't kind of respect them or pay respect to the fact that they're there. I definitely want to put in there the delineator medians, because I'll say in community, that's the thing I get the most questions about, of people curious about what that looks like visually. And so these are just some examples of these things in real time of what they can look like. And then also in the resolution, it does touch upon the possibility of reducing to 25 miles per hour. And so some facts that I just think are really important to remember is a pedestrian that's struck at 40 miles per hour has an 85% chance of dying. And so the higher that your speed limit is at these intersections, the faster that people are going, because they're typically going up to 10 miles above that. And I think that definitely accounts for why so many of the hits along the Gravelway corridor have been fatalic. And so 25 miles per hour drops it about 10%, and that is named in the resolution. And just a reminder that even things like that can help to save lives just by encouraging folks to slow down. It is something that came up at the town hall over and over again. It's something I know myself and my colleagues have talked about. MoDOT has indicated to myself, and I know some of us, that they are very open to that, but they wanted to make sure that that was something that the community wasn't aligned with. And so my hope is between our committee hearing day and the board passing this resolution and the town hall, where it was referenced in several questions, that will serve as kind of support for why it would be a good idea to slow that down. I will also add that there are some traffic calming mechanisms that are actually not unlocked until a street is at 25 miles per hour. And so I think that's another reason why we should think about doing it there as well. Okay, and just a reminder that obviously about quick builds, the resolution, but I think there are a number of things that need to be done along the Gravelway corridor that are touched on in this resolution. The sidewalk repairs. I know there's some work being done on Gravelway. This is something I know myself and my colleagues, I think almost all of you all who have Gravelway, we've talked about this. This is something we're very open to, and that could take place and could also be helpful. And so I just wanted to add this in to make sure I was kind of capturing everything that was captured within the resolution. Just a little bit of information around, I know there's been some kind of questions around this sort of thing. For the things that are listed with this resolution, one of the best things about these things is they're very inexpensive, very, very inexpensive. So the prices we are used to typically paying for war capital, these are much, much more cheaper. The conversation I've had proactively with our streets department is just importance of purchasing these things in bulk, because they are flexible and they can be hit. They may need to be replaced, and so to make sure, I know I'd certainly plan on allocating some more capital to some of these things within the resolution, making sure that we kind of talk proactively about having enough so if they're place, we already have them there, as opposed to they get damaged and then we have to wait until whenever we can get them back in store and get them we're ordering from. And because they're so inexpensive, I don't think it's hard in order to order them in bulk. And that ends mine. I do have a cool little hyperlink to the 2024 TrailNet crash report. One of my favorite things to send to residents if they ask me questions about just kind of wanting some information. A lot of information, honestly, that's quite frankly sad and disappointing, but I think definitely factual that should be a part of what influences our decision making here. And that really completes my presentation. I do just have 2 guest speakers.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Yeah, please bring up your guest speakers. If they could just introduce themselves, their names, and the organization they're with, and we'd love to hear from them.
Yep. I have Matt with me. Matt.
Chalkowski.
Vichelkowski, Matt Vichelkowski. Okay, I've been practicing on it. I have a little cheat code. I can see it right now. And so I really want to thank Matt. He's been, there are a few folks here from CP2, and I know that they'll be mentioned. But again, I was mentioning it very clearly in the beginning that this really came from residents and folks who are advocating. He's been at every open house you can think of, every town hall. Anytime there's something happening around planning or streets or design, he's been very involved and was one of the folks who approached me, and I'm also honored to be his alderwoman, so I'm glad that he can come up and speak today.
Thank you. So before you get started, Matt, if you could just raise your right hand, and do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Chairman Browning and members of the board, my name is Matt Vichelkowski. I'm with the Coalition to Protect Cyclists and Pedestrians. I'm a Benton Park West resident and active member of the community and assistant research professor at Washington University School of Medicine. For the 23 years I lived in St. Louis, I've commuted to work by bicycle nearly every day, and it really is one of the great joys of my life. It keeps me fit, it's fun, and it connects me with nature and the community. I also live in a great walking neighborhood and go out on foot almost daily for pleasure and shopping. By far the biggest obstacle when riding or walking is Gravois. It is a wide, fast, almost lawless road littered with debris from the car crashes which occur there regularly. I've talked to people who say it is the main reason they won't ride their bike in town. It is scary to cross by foot, and I've had to break into a run on a number of occasions trying to cross it. Others have it much worse, and I can still see in my mind the mother running across Gravois from to the bus stop, pulling her children behind her to escape the rushing traffic. What I found surprising a couple years ago is how easily traffic can be calmed on Gravois. When there was construction in the median for several months, traffic flowed smoothly and it was easy to cross. Why can't we always have this? A lot of people thought the same way, and when the then relatively new Coalition to Protect Cyclists and Pedestrians targeted Gravois early last year, I knew this was a project I wanted to commit myself to. CP2 did its homework. We led a bike ride up and down the entire length of Gravois, conducted a walk audit, and did a trash cleanup day. We met with a number of aldermen, the mayor, the staff from Streets, BPS, Planning and Urban Design, and MoDOT. We engaged community members and gathered signatures. We dove into the details of locations and specific treatments, identified realistic solutions, and worked to build consensus around them. Resolution 197 encapsulates what we identified to be practical, achievable, effective approaches to reducing traffic violence on Gravois on a timeline of months, not years. Our original request calls for a quick-build infrastructure at 5 locations along Gravois, prioritizing places where deaths have occurred and near pedestrian where this approach would work. Strategically placed vertical delineators will calm traffic and provide pedestrians a safer place to wait for cars to pass with minimal impact on regularly flowing traffic. Together with a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, such emergency traffic calming will be effective in reducing speeding and traffic violence. This will also provide a trial run for the more extensive traffic calming measures, which will be introduced as part of the 2029 Gravois repaving project, helping ensure public support and acceptance. Lessons learned on Gravois can then be applied to other dangerous roads throughout the city. I would like to thank Alderwoman Sonnier for sponsoring this resolution, President Green for her support, and Alderman Browning, Scheritzer, and Cox-Antwi for their constructive feedback. I ask you to support this resolution, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also have Mr. Nelson here, and so he can, Mr. Nelson is a streets engineer who kind of helped with these designs, and so he can speak to them, and we can also just kind of have him respond from members to members of the committee.
Absolutely. Mr. Nelson?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Nelson. I'm a traffic engineer with the street department, more specifically bicycle and pedestrian coordinator. So I have heard from Alderwoman Sonnier and CP2 about these measures for quick build infrastructure. So I started some conversations within the departments and sort of figured out that the street department would be the best to pursue this initiative. So I've been looking into some solutions, some concepts. So I would like to kind of state that, quick build is sort of a catch-all term for multiple different treatments. However, I've kind of narrowed it down to these delineators. The plastic flex post would be the best solution for this specific instance. So I have come up with some conceptual drawings that are kind of set there, and if things keep moving forward, that potentially could be put in place. But otherwise, I'm largely just here to answer any technical questions you guys may have.
Thank you. We'll go through the committee and see if anyone has any questions. Alderwoman Boyd.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Clark-Hubbard.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for your service. Just over here, but across the city, I've seen other meetings, and I know the work that CP2 and TrailNet and others have done. I know that anytime you bring people that are closest to the problem to the solution, it's going to be right. And the advocacy and the persistence is going to be there. So thank you. Shout out to my 10th Ward resident that's here, and it always keeps me in alignment with this work. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor and didn't know if there was any public comments as well, but after I hear those, I might have some other comments. Thank you.
So noted.
Alderwoman Scheritzer.
Thank you. I really appreciate this resolution coming forward. I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor. I'd also think that we should take a moment to just adopt the committee substitute. So I would move to adopt the committee substitute for resolution number 197.
Second.
It's moved by the Alderwoman from the 1st,
Previous
seconded
roll.
by the Alderwoman from the 10th, that we adopt the committee substitute to resolution 97. Call for previous roll from the Alderwoman from the 1st. Hearing no objection, we have adopted the committee substitute.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and thank you for allowing the addition of the Delore Morgan Ford Gravois intersection. That was one that has been on my list for some time. I've actually, on the bike audit that CP2 did, met the cyclists at that location, talked about the danger there, and they were really instrumental in helping to get some barriers placed at that location because there was a certain building that kept being hit numerous times. But just this past weekend, there was a street takeover at that intersection as well. So, when we think about the kind of immediate needs and long-term needs often go hand in hand when you have an intersection that is so wide that allows for both and confusing. So it ends up being, regular traffic gets confused and swerves, and then you also have the opportunity for something even worse to happen. So I'm hoping that MoDOT has a long-term plan for this intersection, but if we can something sooner, I am very in favor of it, and I will very much fund it. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate all the conversation. This seems like one moment in a very long time of talking about Gravois, and so I'm really excited about the movement forward. Thank you.
Alderwoman Cox-Santry.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Alderwoman Sonnier for bringing this resolution before us today and for all the work that you've done to get it to this point. I do think, and just want to commend you that you have been very intentional about not only engaging with CP2, but making sure that all of our constituents that do live near or affected by Gravois have been a part of this journey with you. I know you organized the town hall that many of us were at just a few Saturdays ago, and so I do think it's been quite admirable the way you've worked very hard to make sure we're all engaged on this resolution. I do just have one question that I know some of us in this room have been aware of, but for anyone that wasn't able to come to that town hall or hasn't heard about this resolution and maybe listening for the first time, could you just talk about how you came to select the intersections that quick builds are going to be at, and you mentioned that with this resolution today, when they're installed, they can be changed or moved, and just explain that part for everyone.
Absolutely. So these intersections, like Alderwoman Scheritzer mentioned, CP2, and I really got to get out of abbreviating it and say the full name, which is St. Louis Cyclists and Pedestrians for Safety. They actually had a list. They did an audit of all of Gravois, and there are like cool videos that you can actually go see on social media of them walking across and kind of assessment And they came up with a list of about 20 or so places across Gravelway that had the most high-risk intersections, kind of based off of their assessment. And then I went to the alders to submitted this list and kind of pick places off of there. The bulk of them are in the 7th ward because I kind of left this up to kind of alders to suggest where to go, especially because right now the only funded mechanism is ward capital. I think it definitely has to have the buy-in of alder, but I took that list that they had got from their assessment, looked at other data, kind of pulled them from them, and then circulated them amongst the alders who had Gravelway and was like, hey, here's the list. Are you interested in adding any spots? And obviously that was interesting because, like, I know in the 8th ward, you guys have some works happening in your Gravelway corridor right now, so you kind of, you're supportive, but you want to let them finish what they're doing. There are some other things as they work their way up, and so just wanted to make sure that we included the alder folks of those areas in that conversation because you all know about the active work that's happening, but it was selected from their assessment and then from us based on our choice from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Alderwoman. And I do think, and again, hats off to CPT taking the time to really do that assessment, identify some of these high-risk areas. And I know each stretch of Gravelway across our wards looks very different. And as you outlined in the 8th ward, we do already have some active projects going on. And so I think it really is just the kind of timing mechanism and to your point, where we can make the biggest impact until MoDOT does the work that we're hopefully going to have them do in 2029. So I appreciate you walking everybody through that. The only additional comment that I've made, and I've said this on our conversations, the part of this resolution that I personally struggled with was the 25 miles an hour. I wasn't as familiar with all the research that had been done. And I do know some residents have concerns because, like I said, every stretch of Gravelway looks different. But I really do think this is a good starting point for us to maybe put that idea out there as MoDOT does their assessments as well. And as you mentioned, they said to us in their town hall that they are willing to listen to what the people of St. Louis say. And so if the people of St. Louis continue to express their interest in 25 miles an hour, they're highly willing to consider that. So I do think that's just important to know, and something I've been learning on as I've been engaging and residents with the research that's in this resolution that I appreciate you making sure we at least take a vote on and put out there today to again hear from the community what they want to say about that. So with that, I have no further questions, and thank you for your work.
I would echo the comments from my colleagues. I would move that we embank this.
Second.
Previous roll.
So with embanking, moved by myself, seconded by the Alderman from the 8th, and call for previous roll from the Alderman from the 1st, and hearing no objection. That just means that every alder on the committee is now sponsoring, co-sponsoring this bill. I do want to shout out the St. Louis Coalition to Protect Cyclists and Pedestrians. You've been doing fantastic work, and between the bike buses to City Hall, which I've been able to join a couple, the rides that are meant to go down corridors and show people just the struggles, the walks that you've sponsored. I've walked down Wendell with you all, and it was so informative to what we needed to do there. I will say that quick build infrastructure is something that I've been hoping the city can get on board with for a while now, because quick build communicates something really important to our residents. It communicates that we care, that we don't have to wait for a study, that we don't have to spend 5 to 7 years going out and getting a grant, that we can save lives today. And I think Alderwoman Sonnier put it well in saying that this is also kind of an experiment, and that we can then let that inform us about when that official study happens and those permanent measures go in, what can work and what can't. So with that, I do have just one question for Mr. Nelson, which is the city hasn't previously done quick build infrastructure, but it sounds like this is something the streets department is now looking into, and that you're really helping them look into. Can you speak a little bit more about what we may be capable of doing in the future if we're able to perhaps order some, mass order some flex posts and center lane hardening and other things like that?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I think as you're recognizing St. Louis hasn't really dove into, but we are seeing a lot of our peer cities across the country that are trying different things. I would say this is sort of considered in the street department more of a pilot project. We'll have to sort of see how this goes, see how the investment. For this one, we are going to try to, if funded and if it moves forward, we will try to complete the work internal. I don't know if that's a repeatable model or not, or if we need to somehow connect with the citywide contractor something like that to move forward. But I would just say I'm kind of excited about this opportunity to sort of see what works and what doesn't. So maybe the plastic delineators aren't the answers. Maybe specific intersections need different treatments. But it's kind of our first step towards, exploring the potential of doing this in other locations.
That's good to hear. I think it's an important step. Other cities are able to do. Again, it just communicates that immediate care for our constituents and our residents, because the town hall a couple Saturdays ago, we did hear from the family who lost their just a young man who was crossing the road to get some Taco Bell, and it was absolutely tragic. No one should ever lose their lives trying to cross the street in the city, and yet it happens all too often. So on our way to fixing that, and there are cities that have been able to do that, they've been able to reduce their deaths down to 0. It's possible, and it shows me it's possible that if it can be done in other cities, we can do it here. And I really just appreciate you, Mr. Nelson, for the work you're doing in the street department. You're just a really wonderful face to see there, and we always love seeing you at whether it's at these planning meetings or behind the wheel of Archie. Although I think your talents are definitely used better elsewhere, and I think we have yet to see some of the great things that you're going to do there. So we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Would love to hear from the public. I know we have a couple people here to testify from the public, and so at this time, if you have signed up to testify, the clerk will call your name.
And I've transferred some over from online as well. Would you please turn your mics, turn your cameras on so you can be sworn in?
All right, so if everyone who's speaking could raise their right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you so much.
Matt.
You went first. You can skip.
Charles Wilbur.
Do I need to?
Oh, if you didn't already.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, do you just want to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, please proceed.
Okay. I would just point out that Alderwoman Sonnier brought up the TrailNet crash report, and I was at the open house in the town hall and got a copy of that report myself. And the thing that struck me on it is that I believe Gravois used to be the second most dangerous street in the city, and that honor used to go to Natural Bridge. And TrailNet has a graph of crashes and fatalities on Natural Bridge across the course of about 10 years. And in 2020, traffic calming measures went into place on Natural Bridge, and in that graph you can watch there's just a nice drop from about 50 a year to something like 10. And so if we could do the same thing on Gravois, that seems like a win for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. 100% agree.
Natalia Estreva.
Hi, it's Aristavi. Thank you. Let me start by thanking Alderwoman Sonnier and CP2 for working hard to bring this resolution to the board. I really want to stress my support for it and share my personal experience with Gravois Avenue. I have a vision impairment and a disability, and I actually have a service dog. I don't drive, so I primarily get around walking or busing. And I often cross Gravois Avenue to get to Schnucks. And it's obviously very dangerous. Infrastructure isn't built with the safety of pedestrians in mind. I have been nearly run over countless times while I have my service dog, which is deeply disturbing to me, including at crosswalks like between Potomac and Cherokee is usually like where I'm trying to cross either at Potomac or Cherokee. And even at the Cherokee crossing where there's a crosswalk, there was one incident specifically where like 5 or 6 cars just flew right by me. The speed is a concern for sure. I think lowering the speed limits would make me feel a lot safer, just that alone. So that's my experience. It does deter me from going grocery shopping, which is a huge bummer. And I also have witnessed a lot of near hits, no actual like fatalities, but a lot of people are trying to cross Gravois Avenue either on foot or bike, and I'm always like terrified that they're going to get hit because people are just blowing by. I don't even know how fast. It's like unfathomable speeds. So I just really want to support this resolution. I have a personal interest in seeing Gravois Avenue stop being so dangerous, so that I can get my groceries. So thank you for hearing me out. Thank you for considering the resolution.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
Noah Goldman.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
1 second. I'm in support of Resolution 197. Gravois has one of the highest crash rates out of any street in St. Louis. It is consistently ranked as one of the most deadly streets by TrailNet Crash Report, and MoDOT has identified it as one of the deadliest streets in the entire state. This resolution recognizes these issues and offers an urgently needed solution, which is traffic calming, that can be delivered in a matter of months and within the constrained budget of board capital. This will save lives in that matter of months rather than waiting years to do so. It also recognizes a need to rethink speed limits on city streets. 25-mile-per-hour speed limit throughout the corridor would provide consistency and provide a wider range of tools that engineers of the city and MoDOT can use when prioritizing safety on this corridor in the future. Thank you.
Julia Beaumont.
Swearing in. Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Julie Vomand. I live in Ward 7, and I'm a member of the St. Louis Urbanists and St. Louis Coalition to Protect Cyclists and Pedestrians. I'm here today in strong support of Resolution 197. Over the past 2 years, I've walked the entire length of Gravois Avenue as a part of a broader effort to walk every street of St. Louis. That experience has made one thing very clear. Gravois is one of the most dangerous roads in our city. I've seen what the danger looks like up close. I've seen a car flipped upside down on a sidewalk that I regularly walk. I've seen vehicles crashed into storefronts and debris scattered across the street, knowing it could have been me standing next to them. I've walked past broken sidewalks littered with car parts, including next to a high school, and I've seen the accident reconstruction markings on the pavement where someone was killed. I've also seen the aftermath of these crashes, the memorials, the ghost bikes, and spoken with residents, including a grandmother grieving the loss of her grandson. What I hear over and over is that people are afraid. They are afraid to cross the street to get food, to reach a park, to walk to school, even when these places are just steps away. Even today, when I was crossing Gravois on foot, I had to question whether I was making a reckless choice just to grab lunch. But people aren't just afraid. They're ready for change, and they're tired of a status quo that is harming their neighbors. This isn't just about my experience. It reflects what's been consistently shared through walk audits, public meetings, community conversations, and through CP2's Gravois Story Bank. We know the stakes. Lives have been lost on this corridor, and many more people experience close calls and harm every day. All of that leads to one clear conclusion. We cannot wait until 2029 for safety improvements. Resolution 197 outlines practical, achievable steps that can be implemented quickly to improve safety. Quick build infrastructure, sidewalk repairs, and lowering the speed limit are proven tools that can reduce harm now while informing the long-term redesign of this corridor. We already know what's happening on Gravois, and we know it can make it safer. The question is, will we act now? Passing this resolution could mean that experiences shared by residents across this corridor are being heard and acted upon. It would also mean choosing a different future for Gravois, one where we act to prevent harm instead of continuing a pattern where crashes happen and too little changes. This resolution is an important first step, but it must be followed by action. That means moving it forward, committing funding, including ward capital funds, and coordinating with MoDOT and the Streets Department to deliver these improvements. And this is how we begin to build the future of a better Gravois. Gravois connects neighborhoods, businesses, and people, but it should not be a place where residents feel unsafe crossing the street or just walking to a bus stop. We appreciate your leadership in acting now and committing to these improvements and to prevent the next loss. I urge you to support the resolution and act with the urgency this corridor demands. Thank you.
Aubrey. And Aubrey, could you state your last name?
Aubrey Byron. Hi, my name is Aubrey Byron. I'm a resident of Fox Park and a member of the community organization CP2, and I'm here to testify in support of Resolution 197. I have long commuted by bicycle, walking, and bus, as well as driving, and no matter what form I travel in, I feel unsafe nearly every time I encounter Gravois Avenue. I have watched for years as our arterial roads have acted like moats dividing neighborhoods and neighbors. And as a mother, I've been largely too intimidated to share my greatest passion, which is cycling with my young son. In recent years, we have seen pedestrians and cyclists be hit at alarming rates. From my own life and various personal accounts, I know that those incidents are underreported, and the problem of reckless driving is actually more severe than what the already alarming data represents. Each new headline about a serious crash or death, or, as is also sometimes the case, quietly underreported tragedies, it has grown our community's frustration and outrage. Residents are tired of hearing excuses and being given years-long bureaucratic timelines instead of solutions. I want to be clear. We as residents understand the nuance of these issues. We are aware we live in a cash-strapped city and that there are a myriad of hurdles to tackle. But when it comes to traffic violence, we see the same high crash corridors kill over and over again with no action. We feel like in the face of tragedy, we hear we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. It's time to apply a little creativity in the face of these challenges. We don't claim to have all the answers, but now is the time to act, to test, to pivot, and to champion new solutions. We can't wait 3 more years while people die. We need action now. I want to thank Alderwoman Sonnier as well as President Green for taking initiative on this problem. They responded to a community-led campaign with fresh ears and open minds. And it is their proposal you review today, but it is our ask as citizens that you do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenna DeRose.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen DeRose, and I'm a car-free resident of South City. I have to cross Gravois every single day. Every day, I take my life in my hands when I cross the street. Every day, I think about Jason Lewis, who was hit and killed by 4 cars not far from where I live. I think about Logan Jackson, who we've mentioned several times today, who was a child simply crossing the street. I'm a member of the St. Louis Coalition to Protect Cyclists and Pedestrians, and beyond simply crossing Gravois to reach amenities, I've intentionally ridden on the street nearly every day since we've begun working on this campaign in order to make the street safer. It's my version of a hunger strike. You may have seen me on my bicycle. I have a sign that reads, "Don't kill me." Hopefully it works. I live a stone's throw away from Delore, Gravois, and Morganford, where cars are so out of control that the miniature museum located on that street was crashed into 4 times. This is Taco, by the way. Taco also hates Gravois. So concrete barriers were placed in front of the miniature museum, but there's a bus stop also on that street right in front of the miniature museum, and that remains completely unprotected. I want to live in a city that prioritizes people's lives and safety over convenience and cars. So MoDOT recently hosted an open house that showed the max recorded speed on Gravois as 97 miles an hour. I don't want to live in a city that allows drivers to get to 97 miles an hour on a street that people live on, where there are grocery stores and banks and nonprofits and main streets like there are along, the stretch by my house in Bevo. We don't need to wait to save lives, as everyone else has told you. We know what works, and I believe this body has a responsibility to make reasonable investments that can prevent unnecessary deaths and injuries. I commend Alderwoman Sonnier and President Green and Kyle Nelson and all of these other wonderful advocates and electeds, including my alder and Scheritzer, for working to save lives and make St. Louis better. And I want to thank my CP2 colleagues for their tireless hours of research, public engagement, and planning. I genuinely hope this resolution is a no-brainer for alders, especially for those who have Gravois slicing through their wards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Taco.
Our last speaker is Dana Adams.
Hey everyone, my name is Danny Adams. I am one of the members of CP2. And I just want to first shout out Alderwoman Sonnier, President Green, and Kyle Nelson, who have been absolutely incredible partners and champions in working on Gravois. So thank you all so much. I'm in support of Resolution 197. CP2 has done extensive research and community engagement on Gravois Ave, and the consensus is clear. Gravois is the most dangerous street in our city, and people want change. Citizens have raised their voices and want change on this dangerous corridor. In one survey we did, a citizen called Gravois a scar on our city, and I cannot echo that enough. It is so dangerous to cross that many people try to avoid it, and yet you often can't. As Natalia was saying earlier, if you just want to get groceries, you have to cross Gravois. And so therefore we must make it safer so we don't lose any more lives. I'm encouraging the committee to pass Resolution 192. And thank you again, all of you, for all of your time and commitment to making our streets safer.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
That was our final speaker.
All right. Well, always wonderful to see all of the advocates for safer streets. I know that we all know many of you already because you've been here advocating for streets again and again and again. And I think describing Gravois as a scar or a wound is a very accurate thing. I know I shake my fist every time I come across it because it is one of those streets that inexplicably divides our city and divides neighborhoods and divides communities, and it shouldn't be that way. This is a neighborhood where people should be able to visit each other, even if it means crossing Gravois, and not have to worry about losing their lives. So thank you to Alderwoman Sonnier for bringing this forward and for really involving the community in this. It's wonderful to see all these people come out, and it's been wonderful to hear their stories. With that, Alderwoman, you're recognized to close.
I would just thank the committee for their time. I would especially thank the alders. I think all of you all in various ways have been supportive. And, I would just say, I think as the community has said, I think what I have learned from this process is how important our voices are in being unified in our directions of what we would desire in terms of partnering with MoDOT on plans. I do want to uplift, and I know the Alderwoman from the first is going to really love this, that they have mentioned that it might be possible to move the timeline from 2029 to 2028. And I think that we should absolutely encourage them to do that. There have been fatalities just since last year and this year already. I think there's really no argument on why we wouldn't do things as soon as possible. And I would echo what the resident said, that, there's a lot of issues. There are a lot of things that are really pressing. I think that's why it makes more sense for, making our chief streets. That is something that is easy for all of us to unify on. I don't think that's something that's divisive at all. It's something lives. And so I would just thank you all for collaborating on it. I know across the board, everybody can't see, but I've met with almost most alders one-on-one. I've even talked to other alders who are in other thoroughfares. I know that CP2 is starting with Gravois, but are going to make their way through other corridors, hopefully. And so I'm just really thankful for the example of collaboration that we have here. Just, emphasize the need to keep that up. I think in order to do the things that we need to do with the state, with each other, not having these siloed approaches so that it can be one consistent experience throughout the entire thoroughfare and other places, that's really key. And I just thank everyone for coming to the table so that we can have this type of consensus coalition amongst us.
Absolutely. With that, I will accept a motion to pass resolution number 197 with the do pass recommendation.
So moved. Second.
Previous roll.
Moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th, and a call for previous roll from the Alderwoman first. Hearing no objection, congratulations, Alderwoman and community. Resolution number 197 is passed. Yay. Okay. With that, we will move on to our next item. We just have one more item today, and that is resolution number 266. Alderwoman Scheritzer, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Resolution 266 is a resolution that is very similar to a resolution we passed at the Board of Aldermen a few weeks ago regarding a House bill, but this is a Senate bill regarding the change of solid waste, local solid waste districts going from landfill tipping fees being taken from a local jurisdiction to a state jurisdiction, which a lot of environmentalists and groups in our community have concerns about, especially as so many of the waste diversion programs in the city are dependent on these tipping fees coming to these local solid waste districts. So Resolution 266 goes over that opposition, and due to our conversation the last time we had a very similar resolution in front of us, we just had it on the floor. There was requests from other aldermen to move these sorts of things through committee, so I wanted to have the opportunity do that. I did have a speaker on, but I think with just the length of the previous resolution, which totally needed that amount of time, he did have to step away, but he had testimony regarding a few different things. One, that the Senate Bill 1586 would abolish the local boards that currently manage waste reduction. That's a big problem for St. Louis and our environmental community. It's a threat to results that we already know work. We've seen the Green Dining Alliance, we've seen Earth Waste 365, we've seen so many different organizations in St. Louis doing the work to divert waste, and this would be a huge hit to their funding. This would also take the local control away from the city of St. Louis and make this all of these funds go toward state and lose a lot of control of landfill fees within the city. So the request here is to have the Board of Aldermen oppose Senate Bill 1586, as we did with the recent House bill. I'm happy to take any questions and hope to earn your support.
Thank you, Alderwoman. We'll go through the committee, see if anyone has any questions. Alderwoman Boyd?
No questions.
Alderwoman Clark-Hubbard?
No questions. Thank you for bringing this forward, Alderwoman Spicer.
Alderwoman Cox-Antwi?
No questions, but thank you very much, Ann. And I do think this is important for us to make sure we strong stance against this for all the reasons that you outlined. I think it's really important for us to be able to maintain this access and this ability. So I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
And I echo that. I would ask to be added as a co-sponsor. And
noted.
Yeah, local control. Sounds familiar. Really do appreciate you bringing this forward, Alderwoman.
Mr. Chairman, can I also be asked to be added as a co-sponsor, please? Oh, I move that we pass this resolution and bank.
Second.
So moved by the Alderwoman from the 8th that we embank this, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 10th. I'll call for previous roll.
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection, this has been embanked.
Thank you.
Alderwoman, you're recognized to close.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time at the very end of a very long day here to hear this, and I appreciate your support on this resolution, and I hope to earn a do pass recommendation today. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll accept a recommendation for do pass for resolution 6.
So moved.
So moved.
Second. Previous roll.
Previous roll.
Moved by everyone, seconded by everyone, but just kidding. Moved by the Alderman from the 13th, seconded by the Alderman from the 8th. Call for previous roll from the Alderman from the 8th. Hearing no objection,
Thank
we
you.
have passed resolution number 266. That is the extent of our agenda. We have no committee discussions. Madam Clerk, was there any written testimony today?
There was one written testimony in support of Board Bill. Resolution 266.
Thank you. Any members want to read that? That will be in the drive. And does any member of the committee have any announcements? Seeing none, I'd like to go ahead and excuse the Alderman from the 5th for necessary absence. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second. Previous roll.
Moved by the 1st, seconded by the 10th. Previous roll call from the 1st. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned.